What is up, guys, and welcome to another video all to do with Unity, specifically Unity Levelplay. Unity Levelplay is basically where Unity and Ironsource came together, created Unity Levelplay, which gives you guys access to more adapters and a few extra things within the dashboard and easier testing, in my opinion. There's a few things that I just want to very quickly iron out at the start of the video, and that is you need to make sure that your Unity editor is above 2017 point something. I'm going to put it right here. You need to also take into account if you're making an app for Android and iOS, then at this point you need to be in an iOS development platform. That would very much be like Mac, and I will be covering the iOS element of implementing the Ironsource Unity Levelplay in a separate video, which will be linked down in the description as soon as it is ready. So let's get started. Right, so this is the platform in which I am showing you today. I'm going to be building in the Unity Levelplay SDK into the platform. So just very quickly go, we've got a load banner, a dispose banner, a load full size ad, and the show full size ad, as well as the show rewarded ad. So these are just going to act as placeholders where we can control when we call the functions. Now, realistically, you would have like the load banner load as soon as the SDK is ready, and you'd use the dispose one as and when, like if they was going to pause menu or go into screen where you don't want the banner to show, and then you just load it as soon as you come out of that scene. The load full size ads, you'd have that probably loaded at the start, and then you just show it as and when you wanted to. So for example, after a couple of levels within the game, you'd be showing it then, or like after each death, or depending on how your app is set up, the end of each level, whichever way you would be showing it. Then as soon as you finish showing the ad, you would then reload another ad ready for the next time it is ready to go. And then also you've got rewarded ad, which goes with the name. It will give us a reward, which we will display at the bottom here with the score function. Now with Unity Levelplay, there is a fourth option, which is offer wall. Now I don't have an experience with that yet. I'm still waiting to get verified from Ironsource to be able to test that out. But as soon as I do, and as soon as I do understand it, I will be creating a video on that. So to get started, this scene represents where you are in your game. Now, you can implement these ads at any point during it. It can be implemented at the start, in the middle, or at the end just before you go live. It doesn't matter. The process is still exactly the same, but I do recommend making a backup before you start the process. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to head on over to the Levelplay Knowledge Center. So the Unity plugin integration, it's in the description. I have linked it. And there we go. So the first, what we got to do is we have to download the Unity plugin for Ironsource, which we just got to click on there. Then if we drag and drop that into our platform like so, it will ask us to import in this screen just here. So we're going to click that import button just there. It will then ask us to import a dependency resolver, which has just come up here. We're going to want to hit that import button. Now, occasionally, if you're on Windows, you can get an error with this dependency manager, which if it comes up, I will show you how to do it. Alternatively, if you do get a Win32 error come up in your console, there will be a video following this, which will show you how to resolve it. Now, if you do have issues throughout this integration, chances are it's probably linked to the mobile dependency manager, and there'll be multiple ways to fix it, which as you come across the issues and as I come across the issues, I'll be creating videos to show you how to solve the error. So if you do get an error during this entire integration, let me know in the comments and I will show you how to fix it. So now that we have got the Ads Mediation tab just up here, which shows us that we have integrated in the Ads Mediation package, we've got these four options. What we're going to want to do is if we go into Integration Manager, it will give us the option of all of the different adapters. Now today we're only going to be going over Ironsource and Unity Ads. So whilst we're here, we're just going to click install on that Unity Ads section. So now if we click X there, whenever we make any changes to this integration manager, what we do need to do is we need to head on over to Assets, Mobile Dependency Resolver, Android Resolver, and then click that Resolve button. Now, if you do get this error saying the resolver is not enabled, Android platform must be selected. That is because if we go into our build settings, we are not in our Android format, which I'll switch over to right now. Fantastic then. So we know the fact is it is switched over properly because it's now got the Unity logo next to the Android bit just there. So when we click X on here, it does give us a warning. This is an irrelevant warning as we're using SDK version 7.2.7 and it's just warning us that one of the on impression success event is going to become obsolete in 7.3. So that error is irrelevant. We don't need to worry about that one. So now if we go back to Assets, Mobile Dependency Resolver, Android Resolver, and click that Resolve button, there we go. So this is that Win32 exception. You may get this, you may not. But if you do, I'll include a link into the description that is a file we need for it. So if we click on it, we will see that it's asking for a gradle.bat file, but the system file cannot be specified. So if we go over into our link just here, which again will be in the description if you need it, we'll head on over to our folder. See this temp folder just here? And then the Play Services Resolver Gradle. Now, if you're not quite sure where it is you need to go, back in our Unity editor, it does say the path just here. Gradle.bat. So, in our folder, we are going to create a new file. New text file. We're just going to go into it. So it opens up a notepad, paste. So this is the gradle.bat file that I have linked in the description. And we're just going to change the name of this to gradlew.bat. Now you know you've done it right if when you click yes, it will come up saying the fact it might become unusable. Are you sure you want to change it? We're going to click yes on there. So now when we go into here, we're going to click X on it trying to resolve it for now. I'm going to click clear, head on back over to the properties, right click, and we're going to re-import. Now why it brings this error up, I don't know. However, it's quite a simple 2-minute fix, and this is just a way to get around it for now. Fantastic then. So now when we click on Assets, Mobile Dependency Resolver, and then click on Resolve for a second time, you'll see the fact it is now working and it will come up with 100% success that it is working. Perfect. So now that says the resolution has succeeded, this will now, so the SDK now is implemented, it will work. So if we was to press play now, no, we've not actually linked it yet. So Ironsource have been kind enough to give us a demo scene. So to get there, in our main asset folder, if we go to Ironsource and then click on demo scene, we can load up an actual scene where it's already got everything already implemented and ready to go. If we press play, there we go. So in the actual simulator, when we click on the buttons, you'll see the fact it doesn't actually show us the ads, which if you come over from Unity Ads may confuse you slightly. So the ads don't actually show within the simulator. You'll need to test that on your actual device, which I will do in just a moment to show you that this integration does work from this point. So, but the easiest way to go is if we go into our console, we can see that there is a valid integration just there. It's been generated on the Unity editor as opposed to a phone. But it says that the show rewarded button was clicked. It does say there's not a video available. but we'll check that in just a second. And then we can also see the fact we've clicked a load of buttons. However, this doesn't give us actual visual feedback. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect up my phone now, and I will show you what it is that you need to do, and I will show you it working within the phone. Okay, right, so now that I've got my phone plugged in via USB to my computer, what I am just going to regularly do is install another package called Android Logcat. Now, a reason why I'm going to install that one is just because it's a package that I'm familiar with, and I get clear logs into what's going on behind the scenes. So if there are any errors, then I can, attack it and adapt it then and there. So I'm just going to install this package here. Build. No, we're not. We're going to go into build settings, and we just need to make sure that this scene is selected as our top scene. We then click build and run. Go into temp. Save that. File name. Temp. Fantastic. There we go. So now that that has gone over to my phone, we can see in here in the logcat, which I dragged up there. So now then, as things happen within here, we can very quickly chill in the the logcat and actually check out the errors if we get any. Now you'll see some errors just come up here, which is all to do with the different adapters. Now, because we do not have them installed, it's not going to cause any problem whatsoever within the app. It's just notifying us that these ones are not set up. We've got the Ironsource one all set up, and we've also got the Unity Ads set up, which is the two that we are most important about today. And however, though, the app is loaded, so let's check out by clicking the show rewarded video, which, as you can see just there, it works. So the rewarded ad video does work. Then we're going to load the Interstitial. We're going to show that one. Again, that one works absolutely fine. So we'll skip that. Then lastly but not least, let's load the banner. Fantastic. So if at this point, the app does not... So if at this point you are trying to do the demo scene and you're not getting the ads come up, then go back through the previous steps. Make sure that the dependency resolver resolves properly. And if you're getting any other errors at all, let me know in the comments, and I will see what's gone on and see what we can do to fix it. But that shows us the fact the implementation works. It's absolutely fine. It's all in properly. However, though, that works on the demo scene. I want it to work in what would be our app, the actual main scene that we're working on, which is this scene just here. So I'm just going to go back into our build settings and just remove the demo scene. And fantastic then. So what we need to do now is actually enable the ads within the dashboard itself on Ironsource. So before we do that, what I am going to do is, if we go to our player settings, so just go into product settings, click on services, select your organization that is linked to your Unity dashboard, create a project ID, or link it to a previous one, obviously, if you need to. And then just very quickly fill out this copy regulation, which is, will this app be primarily targeted children under the age of 13? Yes or no? We're just going to go with no. And then hit that save button. Perfecto. So now when we go back into our Unity hub, our developer dashboard, hit that sign in button. You'll see how many times it's taken me to be able to learn how to implement Unity Levelplay. So this is our game just here, LP7-2-7. So we're going to load this one up here. And we're going to hit that monetization ad section. It's going to ask us if we want to get started. We do. We plan to use mediation, which gives us access to Unity Levelplay. We're then going to hit the next section on that one. We're going to start afresh on this one to show you how to do it. And then if your app is listed in the App Store, then fill these out. Otherwise, if the app is not on the App Store, hit that button just there. And make sure you are to enter the store IDs after the project is finished and is published. So let's click Add Project. This is now going to give us our organization core, our game IDs, and also our show API key. So we need to keep this screen up just for a second. What we're going to do is we're just going to log in to the Ironsource. I'm just going to log into Ironsource now. If you haven't already signed up to it, then do sign up. As soon as you sign up, you'll be greeted with this window just here, which is to add a new app. App Store or Google Play URL. It's not live in the application store yet. The temporary name, we're just going to call this LP-7-2-7. And it's for the Android platform. I will be going through iOS in another video, as you do need to be on an iOS platform. So if you're interested in that one, let me know in the comments and I will link you to it as soon as it is up. We're going to go with a new setup, and also again, copy regulations. Just needs to be true from this one. If it is primarily directed at children, or there is any part of the ad which appeals to children, you need to make sure you appeal to the copy regulations. For the sake of this, we're just going to say general audience of the app is not directed at children, and then also make sure you fill in the correct US state privacy laws if that applies to you. So I'm then just going to click the add app now, and this is going to give us the Android app key just here, which I will show you what to do with that in just a moment. So we're going to activate the rewarded ad, the interstitial, and the banner. This is the fourth option I said about earlier, but as you can see, you need to be approved in order to have access to it. I'm not currently approved. I'm still waiting for that approval email, but we're just going to click that continue button. Fantastic. Then. So now it will be here. So our LP7-2-7 is here. We've got the banner, the interstitial, and also the rewarded ads ready to go. But it's not going to work at this moment. What we do need to do is head on down to SDK Networks. Click on the app in which we are dealing with. Now today I'm going to be showing you about Unity Ads and Ironsource. I'm not going to be taking you through Ad Colony or Direct Deals. I've just been playing about with different mediation companies, just ready to create some more videos on it. So what we're going to want to do is if you click this Manage Networks just up at the top here, yours will not be in blue. You will have Ironsource in blue. That'll probably be it. But we're going to want to add our Unity Ads. So if we click on Unity Ads, it's going to ask us for our API key and our organization core ID. So this is why I said to keep this screen just here. We've got our organization core, and we've also got our API key just here, which just needs to copy these two into the relevant boxes in here, API key here, and the organization core just here. So now when we press save here, we can also just click finish project setup on here. Then it's going to give us the welcome thing, which we can dismiss. Then if we go into placements down here, we can then go into grab our Android game ID and go back to our Ironsource SDK network setup. Where it says non-bidding, you will now have the Android ads here. When you press setup in the corner here, it's going to ask you to set up each of your different rewarded, interstitial, and also banner. So yep, so once we put in the game ID just here, which is relevant to Android, which is that one just there. Obviously, if you're doing the iOS version, it'll be the iOS game ID just in there. Now, when you go to the different tabs here, you've got rewarded, interstitial, and banner. And then it asks you for your placement ID. So this is just under placements here, why I said for us to go into placements, because we get all of our placement IDs just here. So we've got the interstitial just there, where we're going to go into Ironsource, add that in there, save. We're also going to go and add our rewarded and also our banner at the same time. Now you can add in your mediation groups. So if you've got different groups you want to target particular countries, then you can obviously adapt that in just here. That is under mediation just here, the mediation manager. So this rate at the bottom here is used only to prioritize the instance of new waterfall. However, it is completely optional. But if it's anything like the Unity ads with mediation, it's just setting the floor price of the advert. So we're going to click save here. We've now got, as you can see here, they've turned to blue. Now, that means the fact that they are all active. We've also got Ironsource up here, also in all blue. Now, if we go over to edit network on here, because we do want it to go into test mode, we just need to click on test mode, and also the banner into test mode just there. Fantastic then. So now if we go back to SDK networks, right then, so now the dashboard is all set up. We can see the fact that the networks go, we've got a test module there, and we've also got Unity ads all linked up. There is one more thing we need to do when it comes to getting it ready for the code and the Android development side. What we're going to want to do is make it be able to target API 31 for Android. So to do that, if we go back to our plugin integration, we're going to be going into this section here, step 4. First off, we need to declare a Google Play Services normal permission into the manifest file as follows. So this user permissions section, if we go over back over to our project, so now we're here. If we go over to edit, click on project settings and head on over to custom main manifest, check that. Now this path just here, assets, plugins, Android manifest, we're going to want to load that up. So if we go into assets, plugins, Android manifest, load that up. Then in here, just underneath where, so between where its manifest ends and application begins, we're just going to want to chuck that right there. So now if we click X on that, that is the permissions setup now. And if your Unity is in the Unity editor 2020 upwards, then we're going to want to add this into our Gradle properties, which if we go back to our places here, it is the Gradle properties template. Open that one. Gradle template.properties. Gonna just open that up with Notepad, where we can now just paste that in just so. X on there again. We'll then close this. Then one last time, we'll just resolve the dependency. If there are any issues with that installation, then it would become apparent there. So now that's it. That is us ready to get into the actual code and initialize the SDK within our scene. We've done everything else behind the scenes. It works. We know it works, and it's pretty much ready just for the actual coded initialization. So to get started, we're just going to create a script folder and call it whatever you'd like. I'm going to call it so we'll call it level play. We'll call it that. We're going to want to whack it onto something which loads in at the start. Script cannot be found just because I'm still waiting for the script to be made. Fantastic. And right. So now the script actually has been created now. If we just drag that into there we go. Level play ads. We're just going to open this up in our design editor, which is linked to our Unity. Whilst that loads up, I'm just going to head back over to our documentation from the Knowledge Center. So we've done all the way up to step 4 now. Step 5, we don't have to implement because that is a manual integration, which we are not doing. So now we move on to step 6 to initialize the ad units. So this is the initialization step where we have to do these bits just here prior to then setting up the rewarded, the interstitial, and also the banner ads. So to get started, we just want to copy this on application port, whack that in just underneath here. Whilst we're in here, I am just going to create a quick comment and do banner callbacks. Going to add in these 2 comments. Just this will make sense a little bit later on. I'm going to zoom that in a little bit more, like so, for you. So we don't need this update function just here, but we are going to need the start one. So if we go back here, you have 2 ways of calling essentially calling your dashboard. We've got the one method where you individually call is just rewarded, the install, the offer, or banner, and these can all be called separately. So if your app only needs the banner, then only call in the banner, or if you're only running rewarded videos, then only call in the rewarded. Same goes for your interstitial. However, just for ease of this, I am just going to whack in the alternative, which is just calling them all in at once. So we're going to whack that one here. Now, where it says your app key just here, this is where we're going to go back to our dashboard. Our app key just up here, which is in the SDK networks, or if you go to your dashboard, here, Android app key. So we're going to copy that, paste that into the start function just there. We go back to our documentation. It will then say the fact that there is a listener just here, which is to tell you that it is completed. So we're going to whack that on a private void. We're going to do this on an on-enable function. And we're just going to copy that private void into and whack it down here. Now this is this is a callback function where this will tell us that the SDK is initialization. It has initialized. It's completed. So in this sense, in this instance, if you were running banner ads, this is where I personally would actually load the banner and have it come up on the app. But however, though, we're going to be linking all that to a button so we can control, load it, and destroy it as it comes. But we're going to get onto banner ads in just a second. So next up, we're then going to want to verify our integration. So if we whack that just underneath here, underneath the start, you don't necessarily need this one, but it is useful for showing in your code that it does, in fact, that it is verified and it is working. Then that is essentially everything we have done for the script, and that this will now be initialized. This will now work. So if we press play on this function just here, we will then get generated with the Unity editor, which is correct. We've generated code with the Unity editor, and it's fantastic. We haven't got any errors, so it will work when we move over to our mobile, when we initialize the banner and everything else. So that's the code needed to initialize it. Now we want to actually add in the banner ads. So to get started on that, on here where it says know what's next, we're going to click on banner. It's then going to give us all of the steps and also all of the useful things about banners. So very quickly, I know in the previous video I did with Unity Ads with Mediation, a lot of people commented on how can you change the banner sizes. Well, it's literally here, so which is also quite useful. Otherwise, you can actually add your own banner size, so you can actually reposition it to fit within your app depending on the space you've got for the banner, which is also very useful. And then also banner positions, you've got top and you've got bottom. You can then also hide the banner and also display it. So if you do hide it, you just want to call the display banner rather than reloading the advert again. So how do we actually implement it? If we go up to our step 1 and actually load it in, I'm going to copy that. In here, I'm going to create a function just here, which is going to be not going to do a public one. Public void load banner, and we're just going to whack that in there. So this function here is going to be where we load the banner in. We're going to link this up to the button in just a minute within our scene, that load banner button just up there. But whilst we're here, we are also going to add in all of the banner events. So you've got all of these banner events just here, which does say to add it into the void start, but I'm going to add it into the on enable. So just copy these events like so. We're going to whack that on the on enable scripts just so. We are going to get a load of red squiggly lines underneath there because this section is here is where all the callbacks are going to happen. So going to this is why I added in banner callbacks. So I'm going to copy that in. So we can actually, like, when a banner ad is loaded, then we can do something. Again, if it's failed, we can put the error into a log. And obviously, when it comes to figuring out why something isn't working, we can obviously find that out. So, however, for this, we don't actually need to do anything of that yet. And if we scroll on down, we've also got the add info ones, which just makes it a little bit easier if you've got all of them. And we're just going to copy that one and to the bottom of here, paste that in. So now the banner will load. It will load and it will work. But we're going to want to also implement a destroy banner for the button as well, which is going to be Ironsource agents destroy banner. There we go. Fantastic. So now all that's left to do when it comes to the banner integration is just to link these up to the buttons. So in here, if we go over to our load banner, we're going to create a on-click event, which we're just going to drag in the section where it's got the script added. In my case, it's the main camera. I'm going to click on on the no function drop-down banner, and then click on load banner, which is the script we created just a minute ago. This one just here. So we're going to do the same for just underneath it for the dispose banner, where we're going to create another script, another on-click event, which is going to have the destroy banner function. So now when we click file and rebuild it to our phone, fantastic. And so now that the app is loaded, we click load banner. The banner is loaded, as you can see at the bottom just there. Now if we also click dispose banner, it destroys it. So now we know the fact that the banner works. The integration also clearly works because we were able to get a banner loaded up. So now that is the banner integration all done, all dusted. Happy days. Let's move on to the Interstitial. So it's a very, very similar process. If we go back over to our code, we're going to very quickly just comment that as banner buttons. Create one just underneath for full size buttons. And whilst I'm here, just going to create another one for rewarded. Perfecto. Right, so now that that's done, if we scroll on all the way down to the bottom, go on over into the Interstitial, it's a very similar process. We just need to, when it comes to on enable, we're going to want to call the callback functions again. Whack those in on enable. at the bottom, like so. Got my full size ads just there. Scroll on down, the ad info. Now these are not necessary, as I said, in the banners. However, they are useful for when it comes to either debugging or you want more information relating to, you want more stuff to be able to do whilst the banners are running, or vice versa. So they are handy. They are handy to have. Better to have them and then use them later on. Then if you don't need it, if you don't have them, then you implement them later on. It'll be easier just to load them in now. And now we've got the load Interstitial, which we're going to add into a button function, which is just here. So we're going to do public void, and we're going to call that load full ad. Now this one requires a separate function to actually show the advert. Show full size ad. So now we're going to need to show it. Should we scroll on down? Show Interstitial, which before we do, we're gonna do an if statement. Actually, we're gonna create an if statement to make sure that the ad is actually there ready to play. Which you could do, implement some sort of thing on the Interstitial ad ready event, but we're gonna do it this way. We're gonna do Ironsource.agent.is Interstitial ready. And then if it is, we're going to show it. Otherwise, we are just going to put in a debug.log event and ad not ready. Fantastic. And that is all we need to do for the Interstitial section as well. And then before we actually do load it, we do just need to make sure that the button is actually linked up to our script. So if we go to the button, click on the add to add a function. So we're then going to go on load full size ad. There we go. And then we're also going to want to create one for the show. So we're going to be show full size ad. There we go. So now if we go to file, build and run, I'm going to sort of save the scene. Fantastic then. So we've got the made with Unity. Perfecto. Right. So now when we press load full size ad, that should now load in the ad. And now when we click show, fantastic. Look at that. We get the advert. It works. Absolutely fantastic. So the last one to really move on to now is just rewarded. The full size rewarded advert. So now we're moving on to the last one, which is the show rewarded ad down here. So again, what we're going to do in here is we're just going to go back up to our button sections and just create a public void, which is going to be show full, rewarded ad. Fantastic. If we go back over to our knowledge center, we go back down to the bottom and we click the rewarded video. It is pretty much the same story again. If we copy the callbacks, copy those into the unenabled, I'm going to whack these at the bottom, just so. Again, you only need them if you're planning on doing more stuff, but for the rewarded ones, there is at least one which you're going to need, which is, it might be in this one just here. Video, there you go, rewarded video, rewarded event. So this one here is one you 100% need to keep, because this one's the one where we can add the reward to the user. So I'm just going to copy in these events, done that one. So also the info one's just at the bottom here. Let's go all the way back up to the top. Fantastic then. Fantastic then. So no issues found. That's good. That is pretty much ready to go. So if we go back to our Unity script now, over to our button, show rewarded ad. We're then just going to create another click event. Put that over here on the function level play ads. We're then going to click on show rewarded ad. And that is pretty much all we've got to do, aside from we need to actually reward the user once it is complete. So if we go back down to where it was, there we go. I'm just going to do a debug.log. We're just going to make this stand out. Reward player. So this will just show up in the console. But okay then, so now that we've got the debug here, that will come up in our debugging software. So I used Android Logcat, so that will come up there to say that we'll be rewarding the player. But I wanted to very quickly just add something into the scene to be able to demonstrate to you guys that it does work. So I'm going to very quickly select my score text, which is just up here, and I'm just going to do a very quick function here. So we're going to do GameObject.find. We're going to whack in score text dot get component. We're going to need to call in the text mesh pro GUI dot text equals, and then we can do score 1000. That function could be a lot better. However, though, just for simplicity of showing you, this would resemble the reward. Right, and so now that we've added this text in just here, there is one last thing we need to do before we load it into the app, and that is go back to our rewarded button script, and we need to add in this function just here, which is show rewarded video. But what I'm going to do, just like I did with the full size ad, is we're going to make sure that there is in fact one available first. So that is going to be an if statement with Ironsource.agents.is rewarded video available. If it is, we're going to show it. Otherwise, we're going to do a debug.log, and we're going to go on there and say reward video not available. So now then, if we go to File, Build and Run, hit that Save button, save again, fantastic then. So now when we hit that show rewarded ad, we have a rewarded advert. Now we're going to play it all the way to the end so I can show you it update that score to score 1000. There we go, so score 1000. If this video has helped you, please do consider hitting that subscribe button, that notification button, and also giving us a thumbs up. Now we're creating more videos on monetizing your game. So figuring out different ways to help get that little bit of extra revenue out of your game. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So